Rolex, the most famous watch in the world, the one everyone wants, the one people notice the second you wear it. Put one on, and the world respects you. That's what they say. But here's the question. Is it actually the best watch you can buy for that money in 2026? No, it isn't. And today I'm going to prove to you, specification by specification, why 5 brands have left Rolex technically obsolete, while Rolex keeps charging like it's still $1,990. The myth we're destroying today is the most expensive one in watchmaking, that Rolex is synonymous with maximum quality. Rolex is synonymous with maximum marketing. Those are two very different things. In 2026, while other manufacturers are certifying their movements to impossible standards, Rolex is still selling you the same old narrative. The explorer, the diver, the winner. Great story. Very expensive. Today we look at 5 watches that in 2026 outperform Rolex in technology, finishing, precision, or genuine value. Some cost more, some cost less. All of them justify their price better. Position 5. Tudor versus Rolex GMT-Master II. We open with the most uncomfortable fact in the entire industry. The Rolex GMT-Master II. The traveler's watch, the pilot's watch, the one you've seen in every film. Official price, around €12,000. Waiting list at authorized dealers, between 1 and 3 years. Now, here's what Rolex would rather you didn't know. Tudor is owned by the Rolex Group. They share infrastructure, manufacturing processes, and a philosophy of quality. The Tudor Black Bay GMT runs the MT5652 caliber, an in-house movement, COSC chronometer certified, with a 70-hour power reserve, double that of many competitors, and the same 200-meter water resistance. Its steel finishing, its vintage-inspired aluminum bezel, and its solidity of construction are directly inherited from Rolex DNA. But what the brand never mentions in any advertisement is that Tudor and Rolex come from the same house. Instead of spending €12,000 on the GMT-Master II and waiting 2 years on a list, buy the Tudor Black Bay GMT for around €2,400. Same Swiss quality, same manufacturing, authentic vintage aesthetics that the GMT Master lost decades ago. For the price of one GMT Master, you could buy almost 5 Tudor Black Bay GMTs, and you don't wait for anything. Tudor is what Rolex was before Rolex became a financial asset. Position 4. Zenith versus Rolex Daytona. The Rolex Daytona, the most coveted chronograph on the planet. The watch Paul Newman made famous, which today, on the secondary market, doesn't drop below €30,000. At authorized dealers, it's practically impossible to find. Its movement, the caliber 4130, is excellent. But what Rolex doesn't publish in its catalogs is that the Daytona measures time to a precision of 1/8 of a second, perfectly acceptable for 1,988. In 2026, there are alternatives that do it 10 times better. On top of that, the Daytona carries a design that has barely evolved in 4 decades. Rolex calls it timeless. I call it stagnation disguised as tradition. The Zenith Chronomaster Sport runs the El Primero 3600 caliber, a historic movement that was the world's first high-frequency automatic chronograph. In 1969, which in its current form measures time to a precision of 1/10 of a second. The open dial lets you watch the movement working in real time. 2-tone finishing, COSC chronometer certification, 100-meter water resistance. Price, around €9,500. Cheaper than the waiting list Daytona, infinitely more accessible, and with superior chronographic technology. The Daytona measures tenths of a second worse than the Zenith and costs 3 times as much. That's not luxury, that's brand inertia. Position 3. Omega versus Rolex Submariner. The Rolex Submariner. The most iconic dive watch in history. €12,000 in steel. The absolute benchmark of the sector since 1953. Now let's look at what the competition has been doing while Rolex was asleep. The Submariner runs the caliber 3235. Good, solid, reliable. COSC certified accuracy, between -2 and +2 seconds per day. Its crown has a 3-seal trip lock system. Fine. The problem is what Rolex hasn't done. In 2026, the Submariner is still virtually identical to the 2010 version. No display caseback, no advanced anti-magnetic certification, no power reserve indicator. Paying €12,000, you receive a watch that has stood still when it comes to innovation. The Omega Seamaster 300M. Meta certification, the most demanding standard in the industry, guaranteeing accuracy of 0 to +5 seconds per day, even inside a magnetic field of 15,000 Gauss. Steel case with a display caseback to see the caliber 8800 at work. Black ceramic bezel with enamel engraving. Sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on both sides. 300-meter water resistance. Price: around €5,200. Less than half the Submariner. More technology, more innovation, more watch. The Submariner is the most famous dive watch in the world. The Seamaster is the most rigorously certified dive watch in the world. Those are not the same title. Position 2. Grand Seiko versus Rolex Datejust. The Rolex Datejust, Rolex's best-selling watch, the classic among classics, from €7,500 in the entry configuration. Elegant, recognizable, timeless. Many consider it the perfect watch for any occasion. On paper, the Datejust is flawless. In practice, it's the watch Rolex sells the most of because it's the easiest to sell. Its caliber 3235 has internal finishing that is correct for the segment, but in terms of visible craftsmanship, the thing that separates a genuinely luxurious watch from a showroom luxury watch, the Datejust doesn't compete with what's coming next. But what Rolex won't tell you is that at €7,500 on the other side of the world, there is a manufacturer that has spent decades doing what the Swiss promise but rarely deliver 100%. The Grand Seiko SBGA 211, popularly known as the Snowflake, a dial in hand-worked snow texture, inspired by the winter landscape of the Shinshu region. Spring drive movement, a technology that exists in no other manufacturer on the planet, combining mechanical and quartz principles to achieve a precision of ±1 second per day, 10 times better than the COSC chronometer standard. Zaratsu polishing on every surface, a manual process that creates perfectly sharp edges and mirror-flat surfaces. Price: around €5,500, less than the entry-level Datejust. With more genuine craftsmanship, more genuine precision, and a movement that Rolex technically cannot replicate. You buy the Datejust so others notice it. You buy the Grand Seiko Snowflake so you can notice it yourself. Position 1. Vacheron Constantin versus Rolex, high-end. And we arrive at number 1. Before anyone writes in the comments, yes, I know this watch costs more than a Rolex, and that is precisely the point. When someone spends €20,000, €30,000, €40,000 on a high-end Rolex at Daytona, a Sky Dweller, a GMT Batgirl on the gray market, the assumption is that they're buying the best they can get. Today we challenge that assumption. Vacheron Constantin, the oldest watch manufacturer in the world in continuous operation, founded in Geneva in 1755. Its overseas sits between €25,000 and €35,000. Rolex has the COSC chronometer seal, correct and respectable. But what Rolex cannot say, because it is a standard they haven't reached, is that its movements carry the Geneva seal, the hallmark of Geneva. The most exacting certification in Swiss watchmaking, which regulates not only the movement's accuracy, but also the quality of every individual component, the finishing of every part, every chamfer, every anglage. Rolex has industrial scale. Vacheron Constantin has real craftsmanship. The Vacheron Constantin overseas gives you the Geneva seal on every movement. It gives you a tool-free interchangeable strap system, metal bracelet, rubber strap, and crocodile leather strap, all included in the box, which no Rolex offers. It gives you in-house calibers with hand decoration visible through the display caseback. It gives you the history of the longest continuously active manufacturer on the planet. And it gives you the boutique buying experience of a 270-year-old house. No artificial waiting lists, no gray market, no speculation. At a comparable price to a high-end Rolex, the Overseas doesn't compete with Rolex. It occupies a different category entirely. Rolex is the Porsche 911 of watches. Everyone knows it. Everyone wants it. Vacheron Constantin is the Ferrari. Fewer people know what it is, and that is exactly why wearing one means more. 5 watches that in 2026 outperform Rolex in what matters most: technology, craftsmanship, precision, or genuine value for money. Tudor, if you want the quality without the waiting list. Zenith, if you want the best chronograph in its price range. Omega, if you want the most demanding technical standard in the industry. Grand Seiko, if you want craftsmanship that Switzerland cannot replicate. Vacheron Constantin if you want real luxury, not marketing luxury. Does this mean Rolex makes a bad watch? No. Rolex makes extraordinarily good, reliable, and well-built watches. What it does badly, and it does so deliberately, is convince you there is nothing better. There is. There always has been. Buying well means understanding what you're paying for. If after watching this video you still want a Rolex, buy one. But buy it because you chose it, not because you didn't know the alternatives existed. If this video made you think, you know what I need from you. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what watch you're wearing right now. Next week, more watches the market doesn't want you to know about.